I'm going to record it for you and I'll send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So I'm on the example page.
So let's just focus our time here. You need to report your hypotheses, methods. So I basically did this so that there you could see the format, like you know what to bold, you know what should be centered. You should not be directly copying and pasting from this, okay? Participant section, you need to tell me your sample size. Do you know what your sample size was?
60 something.
Yeah, good. So you report that, and you need to tell me either as percentages or as exact frequencies. Describe your sample in terms of sex and race. You also need to have another sentence where you describe the age of your sample and report the mean and standard deviation. If you'd like, you can copy and paste this part just for formatting, so you can just plug in your own information.
Okay.
But other than that, there really shouldn't be any direct copy paste. Your research design, do you know what your factorial design was?
No, I would have to look back at it. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Let me see I don't remember what it was either. So if you could pull it, I could see your output, I can figure out what your factorial design was.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me exit out of this. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, now I can.
Okay. Because I can't see my screen, so that's why I'm asking. Hold on 1 second. Was it? No, wait. Okay, here we go.
All right, I'm trying to make this bigger. Okay.
I'm sorry, because I can't see it myself, so I cannot see what you're looking at.
That's okay.
Does this help?
Yeah, actually, could you scroll up? Okay. So your first independent variable is reporting. I'm trying to read it. Please report
Socioeconomic status when you were a child.
Yeah, so your first independent variable is socioeconomic status, and they could pick lower. Well, they had lower, middle, and upper to pick from, right?
Yeah, but I don't think anybody chose upper.
No. So and that makes sense. So, we're just going to say that you had those two groups.
So do I report having a third group or no?
You're going to have to report it when you report the questions you ask in the procedure section.
Okay.
And then you're going to need to address that no one selected the third option.
Okay.
No one reported being upper class. And then, so that means what's the first number for your factorial design? How many?
2, 3. Is it 2 or 3?
It's definitely either 2 or 3.
2.
That's right, because how many groups do you have in your first independent variable?
Okay, 2.
Right, good. So your first one is 2, and in the parentheses, you're going to put lower versus middle class.
Okay.
And then your second independent variable, which was no. Oh, well, I guess you could see it there too. What's the second?
Oh, okay. When the parents punish me.
That's right. Good.
Oh, how much I agree with the statement. When my parents punished me, they were very tough.
No, that's your dependent variable. Your second independent variable is report how much you agree with the statement. When my parents punished me, they were very tough.
Yeah.
Okay. So, oh, I see what happened. Yeah. So that we were both on the same page.
Yeah.
So how many groups do you have there?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yep. So the second number is going to be what?
5.
Right. And so you're going to have none at all versus a little versus a moderate amount, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. And then you need to tell me what your independent variables were and your dependent variable.
Okay.
Your procedure, you're going to need to explain what the procedure was. I assume you were a participant in the study, right?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
For the procedure, you're going to tell me what happened in the study. You were a participant in the study, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you know exactly what happened. So there were 12 mini studies you could participate in. You're going to need to say that you're only focusing on one of those mini studies, that these studies were entered into Qualtrics and people responded via a link, a web link. Everyone was given informed consent at the beginning. And then you need to report your exact independent and dependent variable questions and how they could respond. I'm going to show you on here. I think I'm still sharing. Am I still sharing my screen?
Mm-hmm.
You can see my screen?
Yes.
Let me show you where you can find exactly how your questions were worded. Egerton. So here are your questions. Please report your socioeconomic status when you were a child. And in the value section, you can see they could report as lower, middle, or upper, and you're going to need to remember to report that no one responded as upper class.
Okay.
And this question, please report how much you agree with the statement. And then these, you need to say what the responses were, the numbers with the corresponding anchors is what they're called. Describe how aggressive you are. These were their possible responses, and describe how many friends you have, and these are the possible responses.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
For recruiting participants, what do I put for that part? How did we recruit the participants?
So the link, I recruited participants from your class, of course, and then students in social psychology and personality psychology.
Okay. You said personal and
personality.
Personality.
Yeah.
Okay.
And social psychology.
Okay, so personality and social psychology.
Yep.
And then our class.
Right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's pull up the paper again. Oops. All right, the results section, I recommend doing a solid paragraph for each of your two-way ANOVAs.
Mm-hmm.
So in the first sentence, you need to tell me what you entered as the independent variables and the dependent variables. And then you're going to need to report each main effect. So this is my first main effect. If you want, you can just copy and paste this part only, just for formatting. Your degrees of freedom are going to be your degrees of freedom for that main effect. So what were your degrees of freedom for your first main effect, which was socioeconomic status?
Hold on 1 second. Is that, wait, how many people did I have in total? Was 668?
Well, that's how many you had total, but in the table for your F test, for your first independent variable, it should say Egerton IV1 or something like that. What were your degrees of freedom?
It says 1.
That's right.
Okay.
And then the second number is your degrees of freedom error. What does it say for degrees of freedom error?
Wait, which one is that? What do you mean by the second one?
If you're looking, you see my paper that I have on my screen? The template?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1 comma, and then the next number is your degrees of freedom error. And I'm asking you to look in your output in that table, your F table.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me what the degrees of freedom error were. There's a row where it says error, and then there's degrees of freedom.
I don't see that. Let me look at the other table. No, I don't see error. Let me show you what I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I see it. Okay, so it says 61.720, or is it the 58? Is it 58?
58 sounds more right. It shouldn't have a decimal.
Let me show you. See if you can see. Can you see?
Yeah.
So it's right here?
That's right. Yep.
Okay. I was reading that.
Okay, yeah, ignore that. Okay, good. So you do that for each of them. So let's see if you can do well, let me see it again so I can walk through with you. For your second independent variable, what are the degrees of freedom?
Okay. So it's 4.
And the error stays the same, which was?
58.
Right. Good. Okay.
Okay.
And so you do that for all of them.
Okay.
Okay. All right, the discussion section. So you're going to do a second paragraph for your second dependent variable, but you just mimic what you did for your first one.
Okay.
So you should have 3 F tests for each paragraph. You'll have 2 F tests for each, one F test for each main effect, since you have 2 of them, that's 2, and then 1 F test for your interaction effects.
Okay.
Be sure to interpret the effect sizes. You can look at the PowerPoint and your textbook to find how to interpret the effect size. In the first paragraph of your discussion section, you kind of put in plain English what were the findings of your study. And you found very, very little support for your hypotheses, right? Because the closest thing you had was a nearly significant interaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could fairly say that you had no support. If you wanted to give yourself a little bit of credit, you could say very little support.
Okay.
But you couldn't say much more than very little support. The results, so you need to just put in plain English what your results were.
Sorry.
Okay, what you got going? You got a drag race going on out there? Or people racing race cars? You're at the Daytona 500? All right, then you need to have a subsection where you talk about your strengths, which can be kind of difficult to think about, but
so I can say having a so like 68 participants, is that a decent sample size?
Not with one of your independent variables having 5 groups.
Okay.
because you normally want a bare minimum of 20 people per group.
Mm-hmm.
And because yours was a 2x5 design, that means you have how many groups? 2x5. How do you figure out how many groups you have?
Is it 10?
That's right. So 10 groups, 67 people. That means you have probably between 10 and 15 people per group on average. So that's not really going to cut it. So that would be a limitation.
Okay.
Limitations are going to be easy for you guys. Your strengths actually will be one of your more difficult paragraphs to write. And I want you to really think about what strengths you had, what you can legitimately sell as a strength.
So can we say that the the mortality rate, maybe?
Oh yeah, good. You got creative there. Yeah, you could say that. No one dropped out.
Okay.
That's true. Everyone fully completed every one of your studies.
All right.
So that's good. Your limitation section, you could probably write pages and pages there, but I just expect a single paragraph.
Okay.
Under implications, this part can be difficult to write too, because you need to think about how does your research fit in with the previous research, the research you read in your introduction section. Does it agree with it? Does it contradict it? You're going to need to point that out. So does it support the other stuff, or does it contradict it? And then in the last paragraph, you should kind of have a future directions paragraph. And I think this part's actually kind of fun to write. Like, if you had this over again, what would you do differently? I know you get a larger sample size, but maybe you would ask your questions differently. What would you do differently? And then that's the end. You put your references after that in the APA format.
Okay. And then can we use some of the same references from our last paper?
I would imagine you would have exactly the same ones. Yeah. Okay. And just make sure that if I pointed out any APA errors, make sure you fix those. That drives me nuts.
And then another question I have is, do I need to change like the title and the running head and all that stuff? Because my questions were a little different than my questions from RMS 1, so I kind of changed it up a little bit. Is that okay, or did you want me to keep that the same?
No, I would imagine you'd need to change that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely fine.
Okay.
Other questions?
Let's see, because I wrote down some stuff.
Okay.
Okay, so when starting, I know we're supposed to do the abstract last. So when starting off our abstract, is it okay to put like prior research, or don't start it off like that? Or like when conducting prior research, or is that okay or no?
Is it okay to refer to prior research?
No, to start the paragraph off with prior research, because I know the first sentence is supposed to talk about RMS 1's research. So I'm just asking, is it okay to start it off with prior research or no?
Are you, when you say prior research, are you referring to your RMS 1 paper?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes it a little tricky because you need to be able to cite it. And how do you cite your previous paper?
Okay.
I would just want to make any reference to your RMS 1 paper, really. Just avoid it. Just so you don't end up writing more than is necessary. Just try to keep it real simple.
Okay.
Almost imagine your RMS 1 stuff didn't happen. Normally, just so you know, normally it would not be like this, but
yeah,
we need to keep this nice and easy for you and as well for me. So let's keep it real easy.
All right. I'm looking to see if I have any more questions, but I don't think I do.
All right.
And then our hypothesis is based off the assignment that we did, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you should have those.
And we still have access to that to go back and look at that assignment?
I would imagine so, yes.
Okay. I just didn't know if it had locked or anything.
No, I don't lock any of that stuff, no.
Okay.
All right. Well, good luck
I
with
think that's
everything.
everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
You too. Thank you.
Bye. Oh. Shakiria.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How are you? Hold on a second. I need to get something to drink, okay?
Okay.
All right. Sorry about that. I haven't talked for an hour and a half straight in many weeks now.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, did you take a crack at analyzing your data?
No, that's my first problem.
Okay. What's going on?
So, I've tried to download SPSS and like my peers such as Vontae, Lily, and Jazz has helped me, but it's not pulling up on my computer. So, I wanted to know, could you help me with that part first?
Sure. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay.
You could share your screen. I might be able to help you through that.
And send me out. I'm on Zoom on my phone. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. But you can point it at the screen.
Yeah. So I can show you. Okay, got it. Flip. Okay. So, wait, this is all class. So here I've downloaded. Wow, it's very pixelated. Can you see?
Uh-huh.
You can. Okay.
Yep.
So here I've downloaded the different. I tried two different ones because I do have a Windows computer. So I downloaded one here, and I've downloaded four more here. So I'm gonna try to open this. The
No,
first one.
I don't think that's it.
This is the download.
Uh,
Because this is what it took me to when you told us to download it. It gave me this link. This isn't correct.
yeah.
Because it's the same thing that Chris Mira and Jazz and Vontae use, but theirs is coming up. Mine just isn't.
Okay, can you go back to the modules?
Mm-hmm. Okay. And go down to the data, right?
Well, you said you couldn't download SPSS, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't download SPSS, right?
It's downloaded. It's just not on my computer.
Okay, well, let's do it. Okay, click on the link that says download your free SPSS trial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, click. Okay, try SPSS statistics for free. Okay, put in your information. Did you do this part already?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was showing you right here. It's gonna take me back to this one. Hold on, I can put it in again.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. This is what it sends me to.
Okay. Download.
Yeah. And it goes back to the same screen again.
Okay. How new is your computer? Do you know if it's 64 or 32-bit?
I don't. I asked my mom. She said she think it's 32.
Okay, so click that. Run. Did you try downloading it both ways?
32 and 64.
Yeah.
Yes, both of them are downloaded already.
And neither of them worked?
No, here go. The 32 is right here, and then the 64 is right here, and they both pull up the same way. Like they both pull up. It's telling me to download an app from an app store, but we've literally tried every name possible, and it's still not in the app store.
Okay. I think for time's sake, Shakira, I want you to follow along with me doing it, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
Here. I'm going to, oh, you're on your phone. Okay, I'm recording this session, so
Is it okay if I record it too?
Yes. Well, the
Okay.
thing is it's not letting me allow you to, I think because you're on your phone.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, I would.
Okay,
Yeah.
let me see. I can just screen record it off mine if I could do that.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So, okay, here's all the data. We're going to do a two-way ANOVA. Oops. Cary. So we're going to put your independent variables under fixed factor.
Okay.
And your first dependent variable, we're going to put under dependent variable.
Okay.
We want to click on plots, and we're going to click your first independent variable under horizontal axis and your second one under separate lines. This is going to give us a line graph so we can visually see what your main effects and your interactions look like.
Okay.
I'm going to click options. We have descriptive statistics checked so we can see your means and standard deviations, and check marked effect size because you need to report that. We're going to click continue. We're going to click OK. All right, so your first independent variable was how many hours you spend on social media.
Right.
So you had one person that said 0.
Wow. That's hardly ever I see anybody say that.
Yeah. 63 that said between 1 and 10, and 4 said more than 10.
Okay.
When you asked the question, what do you use social media for the most? It looks like some people didn't respond to some of your options that you gave them. Because there's no 2 here. I don't know what 2 was. We're gonna have to look that up. So 5 people said news, 4 said posting, 59 said browsing, killing time. So that's going to make interpreting your analyses difficult because you have, in both of your independent variables, you have most of the sample in one single group.
Okay.
So you might want to jot that down as a very serious limitation in your study.
Okay, limitation is. So should I say the response catered to one of my variable or my questions?
Most of your sample reported being in only one group within your independent variable.
Okay.
Your means are a little different from each other. You got one mean that's as low as 3.67. You have another means that's as high as 7, but again, your group size, they're so small, it's going to make your F-test kind of funky. So I don't know if it's going to be significant or not. I don't have a gut instinct yet, but we're going to look down. All right, so here's your first independent variable. This was amount of hours on social media.
Okay.
Here's your F. Here's your P. Is your P below or above 0.05?
Above.
So is that significant?
No.
That's right. Good. And your effect size is medium.
Right. I'm jotting these notes down while I'm watching too.
Okay. And you have it recorded too. So if you need to go back,
right,
it'll be good. Here's your F-test for your second independent variable, which was, I think, like how they use social media.
Yeah. What do you use social media for?
Yeah. Here's your F. It's itty bitty, which means your P is huge. 60% chance your null is true, which means that it's significant or non-significant.
That right there is not.
Yeah, it's not. Your effect size is small. Here's your interaction. Your F-test. Your P, again, is not significant. And your effect size, again, is
Small.
what? That's right.
Small.
Good, good, good. All right, let's look at a visualization of your data. This is why it looks kind of funky. You've got missing groups because no.
I think that missing groups was I think it was like meeting new people. Do they use it for meeting new people?
Okay. Well, we're gonna look at that. Don't worry. We'll get there when we look at the paper and how you're gonna report your stuff.
All right.
All right. So the problem here is you didn't have anyone in this green line, which is browsing, killing time, report 0 hours. And for your blue group, your news group, no one reported more than 10 hours on social media. So that's one of the reasons why your data may have not come out significantly. There's probably a whole lot of reasons for it, but that's one possibility. All right, so now we're going to do your second two-way ANOVA. So general linear model univariate. We're going to flip out your dependent variable. So I'm taking that one out and putting your second one in. Okay. So how much do you agree with the statement? I'm a depressed person. Your means are different from each other. Gives me some hope, but again, your groups, the number of people in each group is real funky. Let's take a look. So your independent variable 1, which was how many hours they spend on social media. Here's your F. What is this p-value?
My P is finally significant.
It's what?
It's significant.
That's right. Good job. And then your effect size is medium to large.
Okay.
0.11 is kind of medium to large.
Okay.
I think, was it 0.1-ish is medium, 0.14 is large. Your second independent variable, what do you see there? Is that F significant?
No, the P, no.
Yeah, good. And your effect size is?
That one is small.
Good
to
job.
Medium.
No.
Would that be small to medium that time since it's no, because I think, okay, I got you.
Yeah, 0.01. No,
it's still small.
Yeah, 0.01 is small, so it's real close to that.
Okay.
Here's your interaction. What does this look like?
That's significant.
Yeah, congratulations.
Finally.
Yeah.
And the effect size is still small.
This one I think is closer to medium.
Okay, because it's closer to 1.
Because there's criteria for what makes something small, medium, and large. It's in the PowerPoint.
Okay.
So refer back to that. All right. Again, this looks funky because you have missing groups.
Mm-hmm.
But when a line graph, what makes it look like you have an interaction? What would you expect?
Hit to cross each other.
Yeah. So this is what's driving that interaction.
Right.
So the green line and the red line are crossing each other. So this is a big leap. Let me see what this is. Posting media is red. So if they spend more than 10 hours posting media, they were more likely to agree with that statement. I'm a depressed person. Interesting.
Wow. Okay.
That kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah.
All right. And not so much for these other people. If they're browsing killing time, it didn't seem to really affect their depression.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So did you open the APA paper template I posted for you guys?
Yeah. Me and Vontae went over that together.
Okay, good.
And I had I was taking notes while you and Chris was doing it too, so I get it now.
Yeah, I don't know how you snuck in there. I don't know if
I didn't even know. I was like, she added me to her session, but it's okay.
I think I was trying to figure something out and I probably clicked the wrong thing, but that's all right. So yeah, I don't want to repeat myself if I don't have to, because I think I still have someone waiting. So the participants, do you know how to write that up then? Did
Yes.
you hear that part?
Yes. I have a question though. So when I say, because some people didn't, is it that some people didn't participate in some of the questions, or they just didn't agree with some of the choices?
Yeah, they just didn't fit into some of your choices.
Okay, so with my population size, that'll still be in the 60s, or would it be?
Yeah, your sample size is your sample size.
Okay, cool.
What you're going to need to report is in your procedure section, when you report your questions, like here, you're going to need to say that no one chose option 2 or whatever it was.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, your sample size, so I think it's 67, your sample size. You're going to report either percentages or frequencies, the race and sex of your sample, and then the mean and standard deviation for age.
Okay.
Do you know what the factorial design was for your study?
I don't.
Okay, let's look. See if I give you a little assist, if you can figure it out.
Okay.
This is your first independent variable. How many hours do you spend on social media? Here's your second one. How many groups did you have for how many hours spent on social media?
3.
Right. So your first number is 3.
Okay, cool.
So you have a 3 by something design. So
by 2?
No.
Okay.
So how many groups do you have in what do you use social media for most?
3 still.
3. So news, posting media, and browsing killing time. So that's what you're gonna, these are what you're gonna put in the parentheses. So 0 versus 1 to 10 versus more than 10. And then in the second parentheses, you're gonna put news versus posting media versus browsing killing time.
Okay.
Again, in the procedure section, you know what it was like to be in the study. You know that you responded to an informed consent with a link in Qualtrics. You responded to 12 studies, 12 mini studies. Let's say that you're just focusing on one of those mini studies. And then you need to report the exact questions you asked and how people could respond to them.
Okay.
You can, oh wait, you never got SPSS to work, so let me show you this. So it'll be in the video. Cary. So these are the exact questions you asked. How many hours do you spend on social media a day? And these were the possible responses.
All right.
You can just pause it if you need me to slow down when you're actually doing your paper. How do you use social media the most? These were the possible responses. No one used it for meeting people, it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you agree with the statement? I'm an anxious person. It was from 1 strongly disagree to 7 strongly agree. And the same for much do you agree with the statement? I'm a depressed person. From 1 strongly disagree to 7 strongly agree.
Okay.
So you're going to need to report all that in your procedure section. In your results section, you're going to do a paragraph for each of your two-way ANOVAs.
Mm-hmm.
Were you able to follow everything when it came to degrees of freedom?
Yeah, the first number is the degrees of freedom. The second one is degrees of freedom error.
Yeah, good. And then your first paragraph, so you're going to have 2 paragraphs for each of your two-way ANOVAs. Your first paragraph of the discussion section is putting in plain English what the results were from your study. You're going to, so you had partial support for your hypotheses because you had some significant findings. Great.
Okay.
So you need to explain that and put all your results in plain English. You might want to look at your line graphs to kind of help you interpret your data. Your strengths, this might be a little tough for you to come up with, but Mira came up with a good one. You might want to think about validity threats and maybe what threats you didn't have in your study.
Okay.
Limitations, that's probably the easiest. You could probably come up with 5 pages worth of limitations, but just do a single paragraph where you come up with a couple limitations for your study.
Okay.
Under implications, you're going to do a paragraph where you think about how your results fit with the stuff that you read and reported in your introduction section.
Mm-hmm.
And then your final paragraph will be how what you would do in the future for the study. How would you make it better? What questions should be asked?